Hey, welcome. I'm Ida, in case you were wondering. So I want to tell you some tips, some astrology downloads that I got about the feet and then the energy of Pisces and manipulation. So, um, the thing about Pisces, the energy of Pisces literally rules manipulation, occultism, psychics, magic, those kind of things, right? So it's the very like whimsical sign, right? Like imaginative sign. That's like Pisces energy, right? So depending on where you have it in your chart, you may find that you are easily manipulated in that area. It also depends, not necessarily, but you may find that that's something that you deal with when you're dealing with Pisces in your chart. So Pisces also rules the feet. So, how you look at your feet, how you take care of your feet, and like what you do with your feet can help you with manipulation. And that can be spiritual manipulation, right? Like being under spiritual attack, but also physical manipulation. It makes me think of just kind of like a fish. You can't really always control where you're going. Like it's the water. It's going to carry you more than you're carrying it. So when you're dealing with that, and especially I mean, if you're like a Pisces sun sign, right? Or like you have a lot of Pisces, like you may have good control over it or you may not. But like maybe let's say if you have Saturn in Pisces, right? Like you get your lessons come from Pisces energy, right? So in that case, you might find you're easily manipulated. Like you didn't even realize you were being manipulated because either in a past life, right? Because Saturn also can rule like lessons that you had to come back and learn again. Like in a past life, you didn't learn like how to deal with that, right? And so then Saturn comes back, like, so then you got to deal with it in this life and learn how to work with it in this life. And so, with the beauty of like doing magic on self for self improvement, doing magic on your own feet, right? Like putting certain energy into your feet to kind of help protect the path that you walk on. And it's literally like it's the feet. So think of all the places that you've been in your life, places you've gone with people, places you've seen, like just like even the path of your life is traveled essentially by foot. So it's like where have you been led, Where has somebody led you in a certain direction and you went that way with them and then you realize, oh shit, like I didn't I later you realize you didn't belong there, right? It's always like after the fact or like you just, you know, go with the flow. And I think also it's like Pisces is the wisest sign of all 12 signs because it takes a certain amount of wisdom to be able to just go with the flow, live, let live, and let things be how they are. Like that's kind of why it's the wisest sign. Like it's having to be able to just let go and let be. So that can work for you or against you. And I'm thinking like let's say if you have Venus in Pisces, it could work well for you, right? Or it could also it's like it kind of depends on the situation, what's in your chart and what just goes on in your life in general, right? But like manipulation in love, right? Or like easily kind of being led into love, but then it ended up not being what you thought it was, or um, emotional manipulation. If you had your moon in Pisces, right? And you're still learning how to work with that, like emotionally dragged in different directions or feeling like, like What is it when you take other people's energy? I'm just trying to think of a word, like when you basically suck up other people's energy, right? Which is usually like what empaths do. I feel like Pisces might even rule empathy. Let me see. You know, just like that kind of energy. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing, but it's easily manipulated unless it's in big, if it's a big body of water, right? You can't control it. But like, I'm thinking of just like a little bit of water. Hold on. Or no. Okay, so see, what I meant by that is like water flowing through your hands, right? Like going to the sea or something and you can't pick it up. Like it just flows right through your fingers. That could be the energy that you deal with, right? And it's like kind of also being so whimsical or just so imaginative and so like flowy that you might find that other people see that as a way to like just manipulate. It's making me think of like, oh, it's just the water. We could just toss the trash in the water because it's like it'll filter out or whatever. You know, that kind of energy. It's like Pisces have to deal with that, or wherever you have Pisces, right? Because everybody has it somewhere. Some deal with it more or less. But it can be very frustrating though to have to learn how to work with it because it's not easy. And so, like, the beauty of ritual is, right? Self ritual is like a way for you to spiritually keep an eye on that part of your body and the energy that comes with that part of the body. So, that's why, like, soaking your feet in herbs or, saging your feet when you wake up or, you know, like using crystals in some way, like just using the four elements, depending also on where it is in your chart and what signs are in the chart. Like, ba-bum, ba-bum. What one was I thinking of? Okay, like if you have, I don't know, okay, Mercury, Pisces, Mercury and Pisces in the ninth house. And the ninth house rules your higher wisdom, higher learning, right? The wisdom that you might get from like a college or something like that, right? Like studying, deep study. You might find that you're either easily manipulated to kind of like communicate in a certain way, like because of what you were taught. Like I'm thinking like teacher energy. And I've been seeing that, that there's a song by, I think, Fela Kuti, like, Teacher Don't Teach Me No Nonsense, right? Like, that might be something for someone who has that in that house. Like, easily manipulated by a sensei or a life coach or a teacher, right? That, like, you're like, oh, they're going to teach me everything they know. And then they end up kind of manipulating you. And then the knowledge that you got, you have to, like, filter out for yourself what is real and what was them trying to, hold me back or tell me lies instead. That could be one example. Or um, even just like seventh house, like if you have Pisces in the seventh house, just like easily manipulated by the people that you're in relationships with, your friends, people, business partnerships, anything, right? Like it's just when dealing with that energy, there's something to look out for with, you know manipulation, among other things. And then it's funny because I was recording this video before, and then when I stopped it, I saw shots available. Like it's like, oh, you can take a little screenshot, right? But then it makes me think of shots fired. And then I thought shots fired in the water. like you can't shoot, like it's like trying to shoot somebody in the water, you know what I mean? And so it's like you might even feel like, oh, somebody was shading me and it just went right over. I didn't even know, you know, like I didn't even realize that there was animosity there. I didn't really realize that it's every, like people felt away and I didn't even see it because I was just like in my own floaty dream world, right? Like that's Pisces energy. So um it's just one of those things where it's like it's helpful to keep an eye on it, and that's the beauty of like self ritual. And it's funny, I have these books over here. There's one that's called When the Sidewalk Ends by, where is it? It's like right here. Where the Sidewalk Ends by Silverstein, last name Silverstein. I feel like that's like a kid's book or something. But then I saw Backroads. There's this like Backroads deck right here. And so that also makes me think of like being led from like a certain path onto the back roads by somebody else, right? Like these are just all things that you may come across. Anybody can come across, but it's, I just wanted to share that download and give you like a little tea of like how you can work with that. And so I feel like I said, right, like soaking your feet in herbs or um using a certain crystal to kind of like even massaging your feet with a crystal, right? Like a cleansing crystal or a protection crystal could work. Um, Palo Santo sage, some sort of smudging over the feet. And then it's like setting the intention, right, of what you want to protect yourself from today. And then I also think foot jewelry, it would be a good thing of like where you're going to put a little ring on the toe or like pinky toe, whatever. And you can even look up, I feel like there's something the spirit, like the spirit reflexology for the foot, right? Like all these little things that you can like beep 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 tap into to see what you need and then make it a ritual and do it on the daily. um and I feel like that's a cool thing, you know. I was just like, oh, that's dope because, you know, it's like where I have Pisces in my chart, I've dealt with that for a while, you know, for a long time. And like so much so, here's the thing, so much so that like I'm not bothered until later. Like, you know, when it's like the things you don't even realize that things are going on or that you're being manipulated until it's long gone, and then you look back and you're like, oh shit, like the ocean, like, oh, I laid on my back in the ocean and it carried me like miles this way, I didn't even realize it, and now I got to try to get back to the shore. Like it's like that kind of energy and you can just get lost, right? And I think also, you know, psychics in particular, because we spend more time in the spiritual realm, um we're not grounded that often, you know, like we really aren't. Or like where that how you use that energy, it's hard to be grounded. You're not grounded when you're in the ocean, right? Like you're going with the flow. And then it's like trying to be grounded is hard. So even like grounding herbs or essential oils that are used for grounding can be really good too, you know. And also walking outside on the earth. And it's really like getting into that Virgo energy, which is the opposite polarity, right? So like, you know, even like putting your feet in soil, like I'm just thinking of all these different kind of ways that you could help ground yourself, walking outside barefoot. And you know, it's like I feel like we used to do that, right? Like people used to be barefoot more often than we wear shoes, like back in the day or whatever, like way back, way back. But it makes sense because it's like that's how you stay connected to the earth. So like going outside, walking in grass, or like being able to just have your feet out and like really touching some kind of earth can be a good way to be grounded. Um, yeah. But I just thought that was a really cool thing. You know what? Hold on one. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, okay. Because it's like I was taking some notes, right? So, like, you maybe will feel like people easily take a bite out of you, or like it's just like you're always kind of dealing with like little betrayals or little like things where it's just like, dang, I didn't even know, right? And like kind of the pain of feeling gullible, I feel like can be a thing for that energy of like, man, like I was just living in my own little world. And like that can be really one of Pisces' greatest weapons, because sometimes it's kind of like, who has the time? But then it also can make you feel just silly at certain times, right? So it's like you want to keep an eye on when, just being grounded enough to peek your head out of the water at certain times. And so then what I got from that is like it's a subtle switch also. Like it's very subtle. It's not like you have to completely change your personality. Or like, now you have to like completely like go full Virgo when like that's not really fully who you are, or that's not your astrological makeup. But that it's a subtlety of like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, you know what I mean? That's the energy for Pisces, because it's like being okay with just flowing and like being able to, I think it's just like no shame. What I literally wrote is no shame is your freedom. So like I'm in my own little world and that's who I am, and like that's how I get by, right? It's like a fish is a fish, like that's how a fish gets down, like that's how they work. So it's like, are they going to be ashamed that they can't like walk on the sand with 2 feet and like be on the ground with the other, with the Virgo energy? Virgo, so if Pisces ruled the two fish going in different directions, Virgo is like the maiden or something. I think Virgo is the maiden. Or I think the virgin woman, which is interesting. Because I guess you could say that, like, I don't know, the virgin woman is just really as, I guess, could be just as gullible, but then in a certain way, right? But then at the same time, Virgo's a trickster. That's the difference. Like it's so interesting how you can even see the similarities even though they're opposite polarities. Like it's like Virgo, is so grounded that it's very aware and it just might act like they don't know, but they know. Whereas Pisces is so um out there, they literally don't know and then they feel bad about it later. And I'm talking more so just about the energies. Like you may or may not deal with this whether you're a Pisces sun, moon, or whatever, right? But if you this is for folks who find they're easily manipulated. You go look where you have Pisces. You know what I mean? It's for you if you're dealing with that. So yeah, and so I feel like that's like Virgo's tricky in that way of like, yeah, I'm innocent, but also like I'm right here on the floor, like I can see it, and it's like the details, the devil's in the details. You know what I mean? Like it's like I already know the details, like I already know, so I can just kind of act like I don't know. Whereas Pisces like literally made that ass not know. And it's just so out there that they had no clue. But then it's like it's easy for a Pisces to escape any kind of like devil energy sometimes. Like it's like you can get dragged in it, but then you can also easily escape it because you're not rooted to it, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's just an interesting way to think about it, but if that's something that's been getting you down or just making you feel like, why am I always in these kind of positions where people want to just, just really like play with you and like really, and then thinking it's like thinking you're getting away with it, like happily getting away with it. Like these are things, I don't know, just with my chart, these are things I've dealt with since childhood. Like I can think of so many times that I've dealt with these kind of energies. And then when I got the download of like, okay, I gotta keep an eye on my feet. Like I gotta keep an eye on my feet while also being grounded enough, right? But then also using that energy to the best of its ability. Because it's like, it's hard to catch a fish with two hands. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's powerful. It's awesome. It's just how you use it. Yeah. So let me see. I just want to make sure I have everything. Pisces can also be the martyr energy, right? Like, just let it be whatever it is because, it just is what it is. Like, that could be a Pisces thing, the martyr of like, I'm not comfortable, but, I can flow through it. Like, it's no big deal, when really it is, but it's like, you just kind of flow in whatever direction. I wrote down ashamed to live out loud. And I thought that was interesting, ashamed to live out loud, right? And that also made me think of like shots in the water vibes. Like it's kind of like, I almost like it's like just too like not beneath Pisces energy, but like incomprehensible until you get the information. You get what I'm saying? Like it's just like incomprehensible to you. Like just like just like beyond you in the weirdest ways. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that because it's just like, I don't know, it can be really interesting. It can be an interesting journey to deal with that energy and learn how to work with it. But once you do, you have the wisdom of the ocean in your mind, like you have the power to literally ebb and flow for the rest of your life. And that's kind of what life is overall, ebb and flow. So yeah, that's all. I just want to share that. Hope it helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.